Good morning and welcome to this News 4 special, Inside Israel, Fighting for Peace. I'm Ileana Varela. It was just a little more than 2 weeks ago that the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin sent shockwaves throughout Israel and the world. Rabin ironically gunned down at a peace rally in Tel Aviv. Moments later, a law student is arrested, and more shock for Israel. Rabin's confessed killer is a fellow Jew. While Israel wondered how this could have happened, Rabin's partners in peace mourn his death and vow to continue his work.
You can kill a person. You can bring an end to life. You cannot kill an idea.
At a private funeral attended by dignitaries from around the world, proof that Rabin's quest for peace has borne fruit. Among the mourners, former enemies now grieving alongside his widow. It was Rabin's quest for peace that cost him his life, and it is what divides Israelis today. That became very clear in our visit to Israel. The people of Israel are strong. They've survived war, isolation, the Holocaust, but they weren't prepared for this.
Done.
No, nobody believed that it can happen to us.
At first, no one could believe what happened.
That such a thing can happen in Israel.
And it turned into just sadness, really, that there was such hatred going on within the country.
It's a nightmare.
The nightmare has led to an awakening, the realization of a festering internal strife that's pitting Jew against Jew. Nowhere is that more evident than in the West Bank settlement of Tapua, allegedly a stronghold of Kahanikai, armed extremists who vow to fight to the death over the settlements. Today, with the peace process in full swing, most families have moved out, and those who remain don't hide their disdain for Yitzhak Rabin.
He don't give about me, I don't give about him. Simple.
They are hateful words born of distrust and fear of the peace process, and of the threat it poses to the Jewish settlements in occupied territory. Towns like Efrat, home to some 6,000 Jews, mostly religious right-wing families, like the Azriels, Yaakov and Chava, and their 7 children.
My biggest fear right now is it's not the relationship between the Jews and the Arabs, but among the Jews themselves.
Their other fear is what will happen to Efrat when the nearby town of Bethlehem comes under Arab control as part of the Palestinian Autonomy Accord signed in Washington.
Way before we started the city.
Rabbi Shlomo Riskin founded Efrat in 1973. He too is afraid.
My fear is that everything that we've built up will be lost, that if the Israeli Defense Forces leaves Bethlehem, we'll be sitting ducks.
This might give you an idea of why the settlers of Efrat are so afraid. In the distance, the tall buildings that you see, that's the city of Jerusalem. And in between the two is the Arab town of Bethlehem. Now, right now, Bethlehem is under Israeli control, but Israeli troops will be pulling out before Christmas, and Palestinians will be taking control just 10 miles from here. What happens after that is anyone's guess. A few miles from Efrat, past a handful of Arab towns, each with a mosque of its own, is another Jewish settlement. In Tekoa, we met Emil Ungar, a New Yorker who moved here 16 years ago. Like most settlers, he didn't like Rabin, but says he didn't want him killed either.
I basically felt that we could have taken Rabin quite easily in the forthcoming election, and a mediocre prime minister has been elevated by his martyrdom into the ranks of the world's greatest statespersons.
Yarden Levinson would cringe at those words.
You know, people should wake up and see the reality.
To her, Rabin was a great leader who wanted the best for Israel.
All our lives, and since the beginning of this country, it's been full of war and full of blood and pain, and people had enough.
This young, left-wing couple lives in Jerusalem. Both ardent Rabin supporters, and despite his death, they haven't lost hope in the peace process.
Maybe it will put the people together and open their eyes. People will open their eyes and will follow the peace now.
Maybe, he says, Rabin will accomplish in death what he couldn't in life. Ahead on Inside Israel, Fighting for Peace, we'll hear from South Florida's Jewish community, so far and yet so near. Stay with us.